Hello friends, today we will do the chemistry of non-aqueous solvents. As this is very important topic in our chemistry. Now, first is define solvent. What do you mean by solvent? Solvent is a substance that dissolves solute resulting in a solution. It means if you add solute to the solvent, then the particles of the solute will disperse in the solvent and result in the formation of a solute. Solvent usually in the liquid state exist in a liquid state, but sometimes it can be in the form of solid and gas because most of the reactions take place in the liquid state. Now, solute can be in the form of solid, liquid and gas. Below are some examples having different states of solute and solvent and the examples they are given here. For example, in liquid in gas, it is water in air, gas in gas, oxygen in nitrogen, solid in liquid, salt in water, liquid in liquid, alcohol in water, gas in liquid, carbon dioxide in water, solid in solid, zinc in copper, liquid in solid, mercury in silver, and tin tantalum amalgam. Now, what are the characteristics of a good solvent? Solvent used in chemical reaction influences the path of a reaction. The solvents play a very important role in determining the path of a chemical reaction. For example, if we change the solvent, then the product will be changed. So, solvent play an important role in the chemical reactions. For example, if aqueous solution of silver nitrate reacts with barium chloride, then it results in the formation of AgCl precipitate and barium nitrate will remain in the solution. This reaction is occurring in aqueous solution. Whereas when we use ammonia as a solvent, then barium nitrate reacts with silver chloride. They form barium chloride and AgNO3. Now, universal solvent, you know all that water is a universal solvent because of its various properties. First, it is capable of dissolving more substances than any other liquid. Easy availability, purity, wide range of liquid state. High dielectric constant, dipolar nature, amphiprotic behavior, non-toxic, neutral, colorless, and it can be handled safely. That's why water, because of these reasons, water is a universal solvent. Now, what are aqueous and non-aqueous solvents? When solvent used is water in chemical reaction, we are saying that we are using aqueous solvents. But the solvents other than water which are used for carrying out the chemical reactions are known as non-aqueous solvents. For example, liquid ammonia, liquid dinitrogen tetroxide, acetonitrile, ethanol, methanol, and now there are various physical and chemical properties that before we have to choose a solvent for carrying out the chemical reactions, we have to consider these properties in mind. The first property is melting and boiling point. Now the melting and boiling point help us to determine the temperature range of the solvent up to which it can exist in a liquid state. Now, the boiling point can be increased by increasing high pressure. By adding dilute to the solvent, freezing point can be lowered. Here, melting and boiling point of some of the solvents are given in this table. So, in this way, this melting and boiling point property plays an important role in choosing the second property is heat of fusion and vaporization. Now, molar heat of fusion and molar heat of evaporation. What do you mean by this? The enthalpy change or the heat absorbed by 1 mole of a substance when it converts into solid to liquid, that is known as the molar heat of fusion, and the enthalpy change or the heat absorbed by 1 mole of a substance to convert liquid into vapor is known as molar heat of vaporization. Now, both these factors play an important role in choosing the solvent for the chemical reactions. The magnitude of heat of fusion and evaporation help us to know the nature and strength of forces through which the atoms are held in a molecule. Higher the value of 2, it means the stronger are the intermolecular forces. Now, what do you mean by Trotton's constant? The constant of the heat of vaporization in the boiling point on the absolute scale is a constant known as Trotton's constant. Now its value is about 90 joules per Kelvin per mole for normal liquids. It means that these liquids exist as a single molecule. But if this value is higher than 90 joules per Kelvin per mole, it means the molecule or the solvent is exist in a associated form. For example, water and. And the third factors which play an important role in choosing a solvent for the chemical reaction is the dipole moment. The product of the distance between the center of the two charges and the value of one of the charges is called dipole moment. The solvent with higher value of dipole moment dissolves the polar substances more easily. Now most of the polar substances, they are ionizing solvents. Why they are polar in nature? Because of the difference in electronegativity. As in case of water, oxygen is delta negative and hydrogen is delta positive. Why? Because oxygen is highly electronegative. So oxygen has a tendency to attract a shared pair of electrons towards itself. That's why it gets delta negative and hydrogen get delta positive. Because of the separation of these charges, this bond is a polar and the molecule is considered as a polar molecule. So all the ionizing solvents are generally polar in nature. Next factor is dielectric constant. The dielectric constant of a solvent is determined by the extent to which its molecule in an electric field orient themselves to neutralize the field in a vacuum or in the air. Higher the dipole moment, greater is its dielectric constant. And below this table, there are some of the solvents where dipole moment and dielectric constant are given below. Now, how NaCl dissolve in a polar medium? Now, this is a green circle that is a negative sign, it means Cl negative, and the circle with positive sign means it is a sodium molecule, Na positive. Now, this salt exists as this crystal. This is a salt crystal. When it is dissolved in water, what will happen? The negative part of the salt will attract it towards the hydrogen of the water molecule because the hydrogen is delta positive, and the positive part is attracted towards the delta negative part, that is oxygen atom of the water molecules. In this way, the negative part of this chlorine ion is surrounded by the hydrogen, that is the positive hydrogen of the water molecules, and the positive part is surrounded by the oxygen, negative oxygen atom of the water molecule. So in this way, the NaCl bond breaks into sodium positive and Cl negative and helps in the dissolution of dissolve in the water. That's why because of this breaking of bond, NaCl dissolve in water. The force of attraction between oppositely charged ions follow this law. That is, F is equal to K Q1 into Q2 divided by ER square, where F represents the force of attraction in newtons, Q1 and Q2 represent the charges of the two ions in Coulomb. R represents the distance between the ions meter in meters, E is the dielectric constant of the solvent, and K is the proportionality constant. It is easier to dissociate an ionic compound in a solvent than high dielectric constant, as the solvents with high dielectric are better solvents for ionic compounds. A solute easily dissolves in a solvent when the heat of solvation is greater than the latest energy of the solute, if we will talk about in terms of heat of solvation. Ionic solutes easily dissolve in polar solvents. The covalent solutes do not undergo solvation, as the solute molecules are not attracted by the polar solvent molecules. The covalent solutes are less soluble in polar solvents but more soluble in non-polar solvents. For example, like this. Then last factor is viscosity, which also play an important role in determining whether the solvent is good or not for carrying out the reaction. That is, the chemical reactions and various processes like precipitation, crystallization, filtration are carried out in a medium with low viscosity. It affects the mobility of solute particles in the solution also. Viscosity can change the rate of friction and electroconductance of ionic solvents in the solvent. So for carrying out the reaction, we have to choose that solvent which are less viscous. So before choosing a solvent for the chemical reaction, we have to keep these 5 factors into our mind, that we have to first follow these 5 factors, see these 5 factors, and then we have to choose the solvent for carrying out the chemical reactions. So these are the physical properties. In next lecture, we will discuss about the chemical properties. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe so that we are making a new video of chemical properties of a solvent. Thank you.